Greetings to all of our change makers, and we're here again with another amazing interview of another amazing change maker. And today we're going back north of the border into Canada once again. I'm so excited about how we've brought people from all over the world into this group. That just excites me so much to see the people who are dedicated to creating change. So today we are so honored to have Miss Anne with us. And Miss Anne, we want you to tell people about what you're doing. You're doing some really important work, and tell people what makes you so amazing.
Excellent. Well, I'm Anne. I'm all the way from Alberta, Canada. So living in the cold temperatures in the winter and warm, dry temperatures in the summer. And I started my coaching business not that long ago, but I've always been involved with training people at work and teaching people and guiding people. So I thought, you know what, let's transition out of the industrial world and I'll transition into the coaching world. So had a lot to learn, didn't know what I didn't know about business, especially. So right now I'm in the process. I'm literally in the middle of launching and rolling out my coaching program online. And what that is all about is helping busy parents specifically with the overwhelm, the chaos, the stress, the disconnection, because I lived it. I was stuck in it, that hamster wheel, that rat race.
Wow.
So I get it. And I went on a journey to get out of it. And it was a bit of a journey for me. So I thought, you know what, if I can compile and help shorten that journey for other people, I wanted to be able to do that. So I started my coaching program, and like I say, I'm in the middle of getting it launched online. So I have a wait list that I started for it, but it's all about awareness and looking at belief systems and habits because that's what affects how we act and that shapes our outer world. So anybody that wants to shift and change anything in their life, whether it be relationships, whether it be finances, career, your spirituality and religion, it doesn't matter. It's all around our belief systems, which in turn impact our habits, which in turn affects how we act, which shapes our outer world. So being able to tap into that and become hyper aware is where the long lasting change will happen. So I am excited to get that launched and get it going. And I've got a lot of stuff that's coming into development. So I've recently opened up a Facebook group. It's a newer group and it's all around people, so mid to late teens into adulthood of all ages, that are struggling with special needs, that are struggling with sicknesses or illnesses or handicaps. Because our daughter, our only child, was over the last few years has been diagnosed with things like ADD, high social anxiety on the extreme level, to the point where she's also been diagnosed with select mutism. So a lot of people don't know what that is. I didn't. I was like, yeah, she chooses not to talk. That's not it. It's she lives in such high survival mode, she cannot speak when that stress kicks in or the high anxiety kicks in. She's literally unable to talk. And then last year, just diagnosed with high functioning autism. So she's considered neurodivergent. So I opened up this group to anyone who's struggling and feels like there's a lack of support, because in diving into learning about autism, about the select mutism, the social anxiety, like the high anxiety, there's such a lack of support. And I've realized it's not just here in my area, it's global. Everybody I talk to that's got a challenge, they're missing supports. I joined a couple of neurodivergent groups in Facebook, and I've noticed there's so many people that are stuck in that victim mode because of the lack of support. So many people have been on medications which has harmed them instead of hurting them. Some of them have found relief in the medications, some of them have not. I've had multiple people tell me that they've removed themselves off of medications because it drove them further into depression or created another element to deal with. So I've heard a lot of stories, some of them good, some of them not so good. So getting that broad spectrum, I'm like, oh my God, there's such a huge lack of support. So how can we support each other? Because I'm limited in my knowledge and my resources. And then I thought, well, you know what? As a whole, as a community, as a group of people that are dealing with this, we can share what's working and what's not. So other people get to pick and choose what's going to work for them. Because what
Mm,
works for us and for her may not work for you. So
right,
you
right.
get to know yourself and you can pick and choose and try different things that might work. So, for example, hypnosis worked for her for a little while, but because of the way she is, the minute she had a bad experience, she's done. So we're constantly grasping and finding different ways to help with her because regular therapy, she hates it. To go sit and talk to somebody in a chair, not happening. It
Wow.
isn't happening. So I've got to constantly pull at strings and find different ways and different things that are going to work for her and that are actually going to help her and just not be a constant expense of no progression.
Mm,
So I see some of this happening in the traditional therapies, not all of them, but I do see it happening in some of the traditional therapies. So I thought, you know what? If we can create a community where we support each other, where we share what's worked with each other, and I can provide resources and other people can provide resources, and I can bring resources into the community of people doing different modalities in whether they're certified or if it's a profession that's not certified, like even spirituality, somebody that knows about breath work. You know, you're not
yes.
going to university to learn about breathwork, but you may have mastered and learned a lot of those skills to be able to come in and help somebody calm the nervous system down when it
Mm,
comes to something as simple as our natural ability to live, which is breath. And I know
yes.
just learning breath work for me has been huge, and it's been a huge part of my journey. And I teach on it as well when it comes to my coaching and how to calm and become present to be able to get to a place where you can actually learn. Because when you come home from work and you're up here, unless you calm that system down, you're not learning anything new because you're still in that hyper go, go, go. So being able to bring it all down to the present moment, turning everything off and just focusing is huge, and breath work is a huge part of that.
Wow.
So yeah, lots going on, and I'm going to be developing another community. I'm figuring out where to put it because I do not want to put it on Facebook. I want to put it on a community platform for my business as well. So my company is Dynamic Living Lifestyles, and I want to be able to have that community all about gaining information. I want it to be free so that people can come in and learn about awareness, habits, behaviors, and have it be a tool for people to come in and again share their dynamic life or what it looks like if they don't have it yet.
Wow. So it sounds to me like you're describing quite a full scale solution that you're building, because on one side of the fence it's about being able to be a coach for parents and helping them to unravel the piles of stress and challenge and trauma and everything else they're dealing with, but then at the same time having a support group, it sounds like, for their children who may be going through some of these different kind of health challenges. Is that
For
kind of
themselves.
the
Yeah.
the full picture?
I'm getting some people that are in their 40s, 50s, and even 60s and 70s that are getting diagnosed with ADD, getting diagnosed with autism at that age. Like they've lived their whole life not knowing what was making them so different. So it's for anybody in that mid to late teen that's becoming independent into adulthood to be able to help them, because that's where the real lack of resources comes in. Because for us here, the local autism society has a ton of resources if you have kids, but the minute you hit that pre-adult into adult stage, that's where it thins out.
Wow, wow. Holy cow. Well, have you had an opportunity to start to, work a little bit with any families yet, or is it still too early in your process?
No, it's the group is fairly new, so there's only a few people in it, so they're less reluctant to post and carry on. I do have some people that have come into the group that wants to be a resource, so they've been posting and providing some value, which is great. I'm providing value, so stuff that I've created for my business, I'm able to share some of those resources in there and just help give people some tools and awareness. Like it really starts with awareness. And that was a big thing for me because you cannot change that which you're not aware of.
True.
And yeah, like and I mean, I lived my life in, I used to say, in oblivion because I was like functioning like this. This is all I knew. So to be able to take the blinders off and have a different perspective, but be open to that different perspective, because that's another thing. If you don't realize you're so closed off, you're never going to be able to open the blinders. So being able to open the blinders and really learn, open to learning. I dove into so many different ways of teaching. I've spent thousands of dollars on coaches and groups and, different things that have helped me on my journey. And it's been huge. Like even some of the smallest paid groups have been massive change for me because I walked in when I first started this whole journey. I walked into my first paid group and I was like, teach me everything. I want to know yesterday. And of course, the lady was very spiritual and she just looked at me and laughed and said, oh, dear Ann. And she let me sit and learn that not everything is going to happen yesterday. It's a process.
Yeah.
And there's pieces of the puzzle that comes into our awareness based on where we're at. So
Mhm.
where I am now and where I was then, I sit back and laugh at myself the way she laughed at me. Because she wasn't laughing at me, she was laughing at, oh dear God.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and
Let's
I
let's
know
build
there's a
some
ton of
new awareness here.
oh yeah. And I know there's a ton of people like me that want everything yesterday because they don't have time. We've only got so much time and it's limited and we never know when it's going to clock out. So I'm like, yesterday, yesterday. But the thing is, when you're in that hyper focus mode of wanting to know everything yesterday, you're missing so many pieces of the
That's
puzzle
true. That's
because
true.
it's that calming the nervous system down to be able to receive it. And that's the
Yes.
piece I didn't understand when I started.
Well, and I'm really curious because, there's so many. I mean, you were sharing such a horrifying statistic with me earlier. 7 years to be able to get to a doctor that can diagnose this in Canada?
For
That's,
autism. Yeah.
oh my
So here
word.
in Canada, we have, they refer to it as free services. It's not free, we pay for it in our high taxes, but we can go to a doctor's appointment and have a regular checkup and not pay for it. So the same thing with some of these professional diagnoses that you can get free services of getting diagnosed, but for an adult here in Alberta, in Edmonton specifically, the hospital that does the free diagnosis for adults is a 7-year wait list. That was a year ago when I checked into it for my daughter. And I didn't even check into the kids services. So you can spend here in Canada anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 and have an assessment done within a month if you want to pay out of pocket.
Mm.
And medical may or may not cover that or a portion of it. They probably wouldn't cover all of it, but they may cover a small portion of it. And that's the thing, like our medical insurance that we pay for, whether it be through work or on our own, it only covers so much stuff. So I found, for me personally, I found a lot of development and resources from people that are not covered under these medical services. So it's been a lot of out of pocket because medical didn't cover it. So things like spiritual healers, learning the breath work, learning how to meditate because this body was woo. I was one of the people that would say I can't meditate, but saying you can't meditate is a state of mind and a belief system that if you truly want to learn, you can learn. Because Dr. Joe Dispenza taught me that there is no bad meditation. So if your mind is wheeling, it's still a good meditation because you're learning to become aware to be able to eventually settle your mind down. And I tell people, I didn't give up. The key is not giving up. And I think it might have been Tony Robbins. I can't remember. Somebody made it very simple and clear that a toddler learning to walk, at what point does a parent stop teaching them to walk?
Right.
We don't. We don't give up. They don't give up. We don't give up. But as adults, everything we do, we tend to give up if it didn't work yesterday. You know, we tend to give up on ourselves. People will jump into business in a year from now, 6 months to a year from now. If it doesn't work, they give up.
Right. Right.
So as adults, we start dumping these limited belief systems on ourselves, especially after school. So after our learning is when I find a lot of people are jumping into that limited belief system, or they're doing things because they need to stay safe. Don't do that. You might get hurt. Don't do
Yeah.
that. You know,
Yes.
emotionally or physically, you might get hurt. So, are there limitations? Yes. I'm not going to go skydiving, but some people love it and they get the thrill out of it. So, everybody's different, but you've got to find what's going to be your limit and push yourself a little bit. So, I'm also part of like a digital marketing community. I paid for a program to teach me digital marketing skills, and there's a business attached to it. I get master resale rights where our mentor will allow me to resell her program at 100% profit. So, but it's taught me massive skills. But like when she does her training, she said it's mind-boggling how people will come in to this business and expect to make $10,000 a month instantly, but not put in the effort. And then
Yeah.
they whine and cry because it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, everything takes effort. There is no get rich quick scheme. You have to
Mm-mm.
apply yourself. And if it's not working, look at what's not working, modify, revamp, and try again. And we do this naturally as kids when we're learning, but
Yeah.
we don't do it naturally as adults. And
Nope.
that's where the awareness comes in. That's been my big thing, awareness. I'm
Wow.
working on it myself all the time.
Very definitely. Well, so many parents that I've met that are struggling with different kinds of these challenges with their kids, they they're so focused on what doctors tell them, and yet you seem like you've been willing to kind of expand out into the more complementary, or Duke University calls it integrative medicine, taking the best of both worlds and kind of bringing them together. Was there an event, was there a turning point for you that kind of caused you to go into some of this complementary modalities?
Yes, there was. And I never really thought about it till you asked that question right now. I was thinking of myself at first as you're asking that question. I was like, no, it goes back much further. So for myself, the medical system, and here doctors are tapped. It's hard to find a new doctor. Nobody's taking on new patients. So to find a really good doctor, they're booked up. And a lot of doctors here in Canada, I've lived in Nova Scotia for 40 years. I've been in Alberta for 11, and they're all ready to push medication first.
Hmm.
My body, and I'll tell you where this probably comes from, rejects medication. So I can't take antibiotics. I can't take penicillins. I can't take pain meds. When I had knee surgery back in Nova Scotia, they gave me codeine. I took one pill and threw it up instantly.
Oh
I don't
my.
even know if it hit the pit of my stomach. I break out into a rash head to toe, and as I get older, my reactions are faster and last longer.
Wow.
I think that stems from mental fear because
Yeah.
my mother had a lot of health issues. And back then, she passed away when I was 23. She was 57 years old. She was on back then $500 worth of medications per month
Oh my
because she was,
word.
yep, she had stuff I'm not going to remember, but diabetes. She was retaining fluids. She was on antidepressants. She was on heart medication, lung medication. She was on things for stress, and but so many different pills for different things, and the doctors were not looking at what pills were counteracting each other
Oh
and what
my.
was hindering her body. Like her body was full of chemicals with massive side effects,
Yeah.
and her system shut down. She
Oh,
ultimately drowned it in her own fluids because the heart specialist was contradicting the lung specialist and vice versa, and all these
uh,
medications. When we had an autopsy done on her body, her kidneys were in massive failure. She should have been on insulin dialysis, but they only ever had her on a pill, which I think is stage one diabetes. I can't remember the stages.
mhm.
So, yeah, I think mentally my body has rejected meds all
Wow.
from that. So I was 23 when she passed away. So I'm watching this unravel throughout my later teens, early 20s with her, and how the doctors failed to look at what she's consuming and the impact of each drug, and the professionals, the specialists, the lungs, the heart,
Mm,
not working together to figure out what's going on. So while her lungs were filling up with fluid, like she was going for tests, Well, her lungs were filling up with fluid. The lung specialist would say, well, her heart's not strong enough to pump out the fluids. But yet she'd go to the heart specialist and say, no, her heart's good. She's only got a couple of small arteries that are blocked we could remove them and they wouldn't do a thing. Like all her major arteries are fine. So major contradictions going on between specialists and medications and nobody really looking at the bigger picture. And so
mm.
yes, I struggle with traditional medicine because I've been a witness to so much contradiction within it. There
Yeah.
are good doctors out there, there's good therapists out there, there's beautiful people out there in this industry that truly want to help people, but there's
Hmm.
also a lot that are so overwhelmed that they're just looking at the task at hand, and to get you out of their office, here's a pill.
Yeah.
Here's a pill. And I don't push pills. I hate
Mm,
pills. My
mm.
daughter was diagnosed. They wanted her assessed for chronic depression. And I'm like, I'm no doctor, but I know the difference between chronic depressed and situational depression. And, they pushed to put her on focus medication because of the ADD. So I eventually broke down and allowed her to five 5-ANTs, which they told me is not addictive. And I said, okay, it's not chemically addictive, but now that she's on it, she thinks she can't function without it. That's an addiction.
That's addiction. Yeah.
That's an addiction. It's not just chemical. So a
Hmm.
lot of addictions are very much controlled in the mental.
Wow. Wow. Well, that is an amazing story. So I'm glad I thought to ask you because, I think more people need to become more aware, as you keep saying, but they also need to become more empowered. And I know
Mm.
that's one of the things that you're really wanting to accomplish with your group is to give people an opportunity to be educated, empowered about other things that might be able to help their situation. Are you willing to tell
100%.
us the name of your group?
Oh, so the name of the group for anybody who's dealing with these challenges and navigating these challenges is called the Empowered Pathways on Facebook. And so it's the Empowered Pathways. And yeah, like I'm not anti-medication. If you've tried other resources and you've exhausted natural ways of trying to get yourself straight and you have to resort to medications, then so be it. Like medications are not all bad. I'm on thyroid. I can't function without my thyroid. But to be able to push medications, like with her depression, for example, they wanted to put her on antidepressants like that. Well, what
Mm,
about seeing a therapist first? Because a lot of that is up in here.
yeah.
There are some situations that it is chemically driven, but I would say I don't know the exact percentage of it, but there's a lot of people out there on medication that don't have to be. They just need help navigating up in here.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm all about alternative medicine first and natural healing first. But yes, there's a time and place for medications, and I don't disregard it, but I'm like, question it if it's tossed out there way too fast.
Question it. That's good advice for sure is, always ask, is this really necessary? What is this really going to do? And oh my goodness, if there's more than one medication, do they contradict each other? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
And like
That's
I
a
say, some
big
of them are needed. Diabetics need their medication. But, early onset diabetics, diet can help adjust it. My sister-in-law is always been very healthy and she's developed like she has to take a pill now to manage diabetes. But
Mhm.
she's already had a healthy lifestyle from the time she was young, right straight through her adult life. So she had no other option. She has to take the medication.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I know a doctor who reverses diabetes every day.
Yeah. But that's my point though. If they're not aware of what's out there to try it,
Right.
then they can't. They have to resort to the medication in the meantime. But yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's been a joy having you here with us. Do you have anything you'd like to share in terms of how people can reach out to you? We've already heard about your Facebook group. And any words of wisdom you'd care to share?
Wow. Well, you can always go to my website, which is www.dynamicliving.ca. We're not .com or .ca.
Hmm.
So a lot of my contact information is there. All my social media links are there. So you can get in touch with me on Facebook. Again, it's all under Dynamic Living. And as you can see, I got my name as Ann O because nobody knows how to spell or pronounce Oikle. That's my husband's beautiful last name.
Gotcha.
So I keep it simple. I did not brand my name. I came up with a company name. So yeah, dynamicliving.ca, and it's under Dynamic Living Lifestyles under Facebook because that's my actual legal business name. And
Very good.
yeah, so people can reach out to me via the website, get connected on social media through the website. And yeah, I'd love to see people jump into the wait list. Again, if you want access to that, I can provide the links. And then that way, when things go live, anybody that's in that wait list for the online program, they're going to have instant bonus as soon as they sign up, and they're going to have access to um, special discounts and bonuses before it ever goes public. So you're going to have more bonuses and access by jumping in early versus just picking it up when it goes public, because it's going to be full price when it goes public. So it's
Okay.
going to be it's going to be it's going to be exciting. I'm still developing the final stage of it, so more to come. So that's why the wait list. But I
I
can share
got
those links with you for sure.
Yes, and absolutely. Put them under the video here. You are totally welcome to put all those links here so people can find you. And final thoughts, words of wisdom you care to share?
Words of wisdom: be open and understand different perceptions, because
Mm,
what you might be perceiving, someone else is understanding and seeing it differently. So if we're open to different perceptions, we don't have to be so rigid in our judgments. We don't have to be so rigid in our thought processes. We don't have to be so rigid in our operating processes and our operating procedures of how we function as an individual and an adult, which opens us up to be more understanding. And
yes.
that's what people crave more in this world than anything, is to be seen, heard, and loved. Love is the number one thing we crave naturally. It's a primal instinct to be
Absolutely.
craving love. And the only way we can get it is if we forgive and move past and understand that there's deeper meanings for everybody of what they're dealing with and what's going on. I used to be that person that would snap. Now I understand why I was so snappy, but the receiving person on the other end felt attacked.
Yeah,
So because they didn't know where it came from, even I didn't understand where it came from. So the awareness is huge. So being
absolutely.
open to perception, being open for awareness to change is huge, because we cannot change that what we do not acknowledge.
So true. So true. Well, thank you again for taking the time to be with us here today,
Thank
Anne.
you.
And we thank all our change makers for tuning in and just, check in and see if any of the folks in this group resonate with you. You may need some of the services that they've got, but at the same time, I encourage people to reach out and see if collaborations are possible. So thanks to everybody. We'll see you in the next interview. Have an amazing day. Bye bye.